Hello and welcome to the Bear Bush Traders podcast. Experienced traders understand the importance of journaling and keeping a record of all their trades. It is truly the best way to improve your trading performance over time. In this episode, we review the methods we use for journaling and what information we track closely. Let's get right to episode number 10, Journaling to Improve Your Trading Performance. Hey guys, welcome back to the Bear Bush Traders podcast. My name is Carlos Moreta alongside Thor Young. And today we're bringing you episode number 10 in the double digits, my friend. How about that?
Double digits, man.
We're happy and excited, guys. So thank you for all the comments as usual. Thank you for the emails and suggestions to the podcast at bearbushtraders.com email address. And today's podcast is actually comes from suggestions we got from a few of you regarding trading journal. What do we track? What are we doing there? You know, how do we track our journal and kind of get into a little more detail of our whole process. So I think this will be a great podcast. Thor, my friend, how have you been coming back from San Diego with the meetup with the members and the moderators? How was that?
Man, I am amazing. A special shout out to anyone who is in San Diego at the meetup. Lovely place. I have to admit, I'm a real Floridian. When it comes down to it. And you know I'm a true stereotype of a Floridian because I went to San Diego with only shorts, flip-flops, and like short sleeve shirts. It was 40 degrees there because I didn't check the weather. So, I mean, you know, just living in my bubble here, which is always a lot of fun. But we hung out.
You just thought, hey, I'm going to California. You think California, sun and heat and all that good stuff.
I really did. I figured, you know, kind of like similar line, like they're not that much above us, San Diego, right? I mean, Spanish occupied originally locations. I'm in St. Augustine, Florida. San Diego actually has the other end of the Spanish Trail that started in St. Augustine. It ends in San Diego.
Did not know that.
In Old Town there in San Diego. There's a little square monument there that has some writing on it that says this is the end of the thing. And if you go to St. Augustine, there's a big ball there that says this is the beginning. So it was pretty cool, you know, to get to do that. But in my mind, I'm thinking beginning of the trail, end of the trail, obviously the same temperature. Apparently did not work. I did have a beanie, thank goodness. But I have to admit, I only wore it because I was thinking about my head, like on an airplane, like sleeping, touching. So it wasn't because I thought it was going to be cool.
Yeah.
But the meetup itself was incredible. We had some great speakers. Actually talking about trade evaluation and stuff. I think we've got a lot that, you know, if you were in San Diego, you know, some of the things I'm going to say about this might even seem a little similar because we talked a bit about that. But there's some psychological ramifications to why you need to journal. There's some real trade application region, some statistical applications. It's incredible, man. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. How about you, man? How is your trading week basically running like the whole show while we were off, like running around, amok, acting like kids, not showing up for our scheduled mentoring sessions? I mean, whatever.
Yeah, it's all good, my friend. It was actually pretty good, man. We had a good week leading up to a lot of news events this week, which we've been kind of seeing some volatility on. So that's been fun. But yeah, just looking forward to see how this overall market is going to shake out. We're getting Powell doing his song and dance the last couple of days, you know, so that's created some momentum for us. And
let's hit that for just 2 seconds before we get into the eval.
Sure.
Because I'm really fascinated by this whole thing. Because right, like yesterday, like with the Powell, like everyone thinks, right, this is just a testimony, right? Not like that big of a deal. Yet at 10 o'clock, when he testified, the notes for that testification came out. The news algos hit those notes and made some really big decisions, and we sold off that day.
Yeah,
really interesting way to see how the market is really sensitively tuned to these Powell things, really more than you know. I don't know if I've ever seen such obvious volatility based upon a singular event like this. I mean, what do you think, man? You've been doing this for a bit. I mean, kind of wild, right?
It is so sensitive the way the market is now. It is scary. You know, we're not used to seeing it like this. It's like, even I'll give you an example, and we saw this a couple of times, and you guys probably seen this as well, right? Even when the expected news or announcements comes out, right, it's exactly what we expected. The market is still acting as if it was surprised a little bit, and we've seen that a couple of times. So it's kind of strange to see that, right? But that's the market we're in.
Yeah.
It's been providing us some opportunities, and we've been taking advantage of it. But if you if you want to believe in something, is, expect the unexpected can happen at any time, even
Mm.
more so in this market. I mean, we're just seeing it.
Well, one thing like we were noticing is, because a lot of us use this program, a little shout out to a program. We're not getting paid or anything like that, but a really cool. I mean, if they want to, we'd gladly do it. But it's a really cool program called Bookmap. And it
Yeah.
basically is a heat visual representation of your level 2. A lot of us order book traders use it. It's a fantastic program. It shows dark pool orders, shows sell orders, all kinds of really cool information's on there. One
Hmm.
thing we spotted before these events come out is the order books go completely empty. Like, so basically everyone leading into these events now have started to realize that these events are a deal, even when they're
Hmm.
small, and they just start pulling their inventory and their liquidity completely off the book. Like the order book will go dry in both directions. So then when the algos kick on, there's no orders, right? So the very first like minute or two of these things come out, you're getting almost like a whole new opening range, right? A whole new price
Yeah. Yeah.
discovery period where everything whips all over the place because the price action has nowhere to go because no one's participating. So the algos are just everywhere, right? And then finally,
Hmm.
you'll see orders start bashfully creeping in, as we go through. And before it was so much, the response was so much more convicted. If you were going to
Yeah.
buy the
Yeah.
dip, the buy the dippers were buying. You know what I mean? If they were
Right.
selling the
Right.
highs, people selling. It's now everybody seems so unconvicted. And this is a reason why I think journaling and all of that stuff is going to be so critical because you got to be able to to track how you're doing and how you're performing, especially in an environment that it can be so erratic.
Yeah, yeah, and over the long term, it's obviously going to have incredible benefits as far as tracking the different markets. How do you trade personally? Because yeah, we can track what different markets do, bear market, bear market, bullish market. You can track all of that, but how do you trade during those different type of markets? Right, you're a better bear market trader, bullish market trader. It's good to have that information, and there's no better information than information that comes from your own trading and your own results, right? So and one of the quotes I always love is, what gets measured can get improved, right? If you're not measuring anything, if you don't have your ducks in a row, you can't improve on something. And trading has both. It has the measuring of numbers and the measuring also of your kind of your mindset. How are
Mm.
you doing mind wise? Trading mindset. How are you doing there? Is everything checked off, right? So let's go over a few things, right? So Thor, what do you use as far as tracking your journal, right? What software are you using, and what's your method?
So for me, you'd kind of mentioned some benefits, right? So the first thing for me, as I start putting my tracking plan together, one of the main benefits, if not the main benefit for
Hmm.
me, is actually the emotional benefit. So
Yeah, yeah.
so for me, being in control and track of your emotional state, I think, is really the defining line between any successful or not successful trader. I
Hmm.
think in reality, the concepts and principles behind trading are actually not too difficult to understand. I think most people can. However, I think there are a very limited another number of people who have the ability and or the patience to actually properly execute consistently every single time. And in
Yes,
order
yes.
to, and you must be able to do that in order to benefit from the statistics that will evolve. Think about like a good gambling system, right? A good gambling system only works if you do it the same way every single time. And although I know people get a little turned off at the parallels, right? There is a statistical quality, almost gambling aspect to this. So
Yeah, yeah.
you have to have your system and you have to be able to adjudicate it. So when I say emotional, here's what I mean by that. If it's the system's fault, then it's not my fault, right? If it's my fault, then it's not the system's fault, right? So and that is very, very important. If you're following your system, you can be wrong 4 times, have a negative day, and you should be able to walk away from that day feeling perfectly fine about your day, right? You're not supposed to win every day. We don't expect to win every day. We just expect to follow the rules when we lose. So
Yeah,
if
yeah.
you come out of that feeling good and you're like, what, I followed the system, it didn't work. Now you have 4 or 5 of those red days in a row. Now, thanks to your journaling, you can show to yourself, hey, I was in control all
Hmm.
4 days of this week. I didn't make any big errors, yet I'm underperforming. I have a systematic problem, right? So my first criteria that I look at is the execution criteria, right?
Yeah,
Did I
yeah.
execute, yes or no? That is number one criteria. When I go into a trade, the first thing I'm asking myself, obviously you can maybe start off with saying what type of trade it was, but
Yeah,
the main
strategy. Yeah.
principle, what strategy it is,
Hmm,
because
hmm.
sometimes you got, it's like putting the cart before the horse a little bit tracking wise. But the ultimate, most important thing I will be saying to myself is, did I execute, yes or no? If that is a no, then it is a me problem, and that I don't need to spend an hour going through all of my charts, all of my stats, trying
Hmm,
to
hmm.
figure stuff out.
Yeah,
No, you
yeah.
don't need to spend an hour figuring out why you didn't do what you were supposed to do, right? You need to do what you're supposed to do. Once that happens, you have all yeses, right? Yeah, I executed every time, but I'm negative. Okay, it's time to get into your charts. I'm in
Yeah,
control. I
yeah.
got my stuff going on. My system's not working. How about you? What is that? You kind of find yourself in a similar way there
Yeah,
with.
it's actually you brought up some really good points. And I kind of have the kind of very similar process. And I just want to ask you for our listeners as well. What actual software are you using? Is this like on OneNote, on Excel? How are you actually
Mm.
tracking these
Oh, so,
notes?
so I use a program called TraderView currently,
Hmm.
mainly because I do some mentoring stuff, and
Yeah,
TraderView is one of the platforms that allow for a more comprehensive share.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I like TraderView, but I mean, there's really good programs out there like ChartLog. I actually heard, I don't know if this is 100%, but
Hmm.
there was an announcement at San Diego that I believe Trading Terminal is going to be coming with an integration. I think our Kyle, the infamous Kyle from our
Nice,
Kyle's
nice.
Hotkeys, has been working diligently in the background for an integration that will allow you to upload your trades and do your trade tracking. If you go to tradingterminal.com, you'll already see the chart systems that they've integrated with there are
Yeah,
looking
yeah.
pretty fancy. The scanners are looking pretty spectacular. So between, if their tracking comes out any as well as those other components are, it's probably going to be a pretty good setup.
It's a complete system. I'm telling you, this website is a one-stop shop. The way they're building it now, as far as getting
It's going to be
trading
for sure.
started, right? So that would be just that would be amazing if they can pull that off, which I know they will. They usually pull off everything they say they're going to. So
Yeah.
looking forward to that. So guys, you can always stay tuned on that tradingterminal.com. Just stop by once in a while or constantly because there's always upgrades happening there, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so for on my end, I'm tracking using OneNote from Microsoft, right? So it's kind of a little more manual. And I've done the combination of both. I've done OneNote. And for those that don't know what OneNote is from Microsoft, it is basically like a digital notebook where you have your different subject tabs. And what I do is every subject tag will be like a day. So on there, I can track my, just like you said, I start tracking my strategy, right? What is the strategy that I traded here? I take a screenshot of the actual trade and I put it on there. And what I like about doing that is that and I've done a combination of TraderView as well, but I like taking a screenshot of my own platform because then I can see okay how
Mm-hmm.
I saw it on my own platform. Usually when you use
Agreed.
TraderView or ChartLock, it's their platform, and that's not really how you look at it when you're trading. I want to picture the 5 minute and the 1 minute. That's how I'm making my decision. So it's more manual. I agree. But I think for newer traders, manual is good. You want to be very
Mm-hmm.
involved in your journal. Me and Thor now, well, I'll admit it. I'll say right now, I don't track every single day. There's some days when I'm busy with everything
Mm-hmm.
going on. I don't track. I might go 2, 3 days without tracking my journal, right? I know I shouldn't do that, but it happens. But I might level. I think now I can say, okay, you know what? I don't need to be as detailed as I was at the beginning. But when you're starting out, you need to be very, very detailed to help you progress and get better, right? You don't want to skip out on your journal. You want to track as much data as possible. And I think that screenshot is huge, right? So I start with the strategy, Thor, because sometimes I'll be trading something and I think, especially at the beginning, oh, this is an RB or this is an ABCD pattern or this is this. And then once I take a screenshot and I put it on the board and I, review it, wait a minute, this is not an ABCD pattern. This is not this. This is not that, right? So you realize that, what
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was actually not that trade. So you start kind of, self-checking yourself too, saying, did I take the right strategy here? Was it what I saw, what actually happened?
Yeah, so I'm actually a lot with you on that. So I use the logging program basically as a timestamp. So and where I can type a
Yeah.
few things in. So OneNote would be perfectly fine for that for me. I used an Excel spreadsheet for the longest
Mm-hmm.
time. I started using the TraderView because people I was working with used it,
Yeah.
so it let
Yeah.
me see their stuff easier. But the main thing I do, which I would recommend this to everyone who's learning, but otherwise, is I actually record my screen while I trade.
Nice. Yeah.
So I have what they call a Buffalo NAS, a Terrace station, right? So it's a, they're
Yeah.
not that expensive, a few $100, and you get a few terabytes worth of additional storage that are, you can throw on your server. So anytime I'm trading, right, as soon as my computer goes on, I got a little button on my screen stream deck here. I hit that
Nice.
button and
Yep.
it automatically starts recording my principal trading screen, and
Mm-hmm.
that's just on. Right. So what happens is, and I talked about the execution category, right? As long as I'm consistently profitable and I'm executing, and I know if I'm executing or not, then I
Mm-hmm.
really don't feel the need to really overly track. And all of you guys are going to go through this in your trading journeys. You got to walk
Yeah.
before you can run. So in the
Yeah.
beginning, because you don't understand the broader concepts yet, because you haven't figured it out yet, it's not as fluid yet. You need to be more precise. But in
Yeah.
time, you will say, okay, I know what my strategy is, and I know I'm doing my strategy. Right now,
Mm-hmm.
if all of a sudden you start to underperform, then you can say, well, why am I underperforming? You start tracking more. But let's say you're tracking from the beginning. Again, for me, it's execution, right? Because let's say it's an ABCD pattern. Why
Mm-hmm.
didn't my ABCD pattern work this? Well, my execution is a yes. Why didn't it work? Let's go to the tape. So
Right.
then I'll go to my video. I'll look at my video and I say, oh, look at that. We were pushing, but as we came against the price, the volume increased too much
Mm-hmm.
and a
Mm-hmm.
large bid popped out on the order book to the downside. Somebody shorted this thing,
Right.
right? It
Right.
went up, it
Yeah.
hit the level, someone shorted. So this is why this ABC didn't work. Next time I
Yeah.
need to pay attention. And if I'm trying to play an ABCD, I need to make sure it's with an advancing volume pattern. This actually had a stopping volume pattern, right? So I don't want to do that. Okay, noted, right? So, but your execution was a yes, which is why it was so easy to just go to the tape and say, here's the point. What was I looking at? Like Carlos says, he has a screenshot of his 5 minute,
Mm-hmm.
and his one he wants to say, what was I seeing? What was I looking at this time? Oh, now that the market
Yeah.
has slowed down,
Yeah.
now that
Yeah.
I'm like not all like hyped up right now, look at the big obvious thing that was sitting there that I should
Yeah.
have noticed that I didn't. Right.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
that you can add in, next time you say, okay, before I go short, let me make sure there's not that big
Mm-hmm.
seller sitting there. Okay, no, they're not there this time. Okay, I'm doing it.
Exactly, exactly. And again, guys, you have to track things. And as you mentioned, for our newer traders and people that are just getting into trading, or if you're thinking about it, track as much as possible. Eventually, down the line, you're going to make changes where you realize, okay, you know what, this is not as important for my style of trading, my personality. I don't have to track this anymore. But I first track everything. I started with the tracking also the emotions, and you mentioned that before. That's very
Mm-hmm.
important. So at the beginning of the day, open up your journal, platform, notebook. And something about the actual device that you're using to track your journal is make sure is you're doing it in a way that you can go back and review. Because, like you said, Thor, you track your videos, but you have a system where you record, you stop, and you're recording, that actual trade, not just the entire, 5 hours of trading, because you're not going to go back and look through that to
Mm-hmm.
see when you took a trade. That's a lot of work and a lot of memory. So
Yeah, you
you
still
have
have
to
to
have, yeah,
timestamp and know, this is
yeah,
where it's at. Even if you are running it out, you say, okay,
right.
this is where the trade is, and you can. But yeah, I'm hitting a button when I get down and in. When I'm done trading for that moment,
Mhm.
I hit the button and then I'm done.
Yeah, so you have a system where you can actually go back and review because many traders want to track everything, but then when it's time to review it, they don't have a system where they can easily and quickly do it. And if it becomes cumbersome, guess what? You're not going to do it consistently. It's just what
Mm-hmm.
it is, right? Because we just have so much going on that you're not going to do it consistently. So make sure it's a good
So something
process.
else there, though, you said cumbersome. That makes me think about something else that can really help out, which is, one of the easiest way to track your trades and to make evaluation easier is to limit your number of trades.
That's
So,
true.
so
Yeah,
a really
yeah.
big evaluation technique I might throw out there, maybe not what we're asking for, but
Hmm.
one of the things that makes it easier is only taking a few trades a day. If you're only taking 3 or 4 trades based upon your system a day, then you really don't have that much work to do when it comes to tracking. But if you're HFT, you know what I mean, and you're tossing down
Yeah,
20
yeah,
trades, 30 trades, and with a litany of tickers all over the place, your hit rate's probably hurting pretty bad at that many trades,
yeah,
and your
yeah.
percentages of probably your R percentages. HF tree trading is very difficult in me for concept because basically, like, you've taken 10 trades, you've made like 2 or 3 R. I feel like you've risked thousands to make hundreds. The inversion there doesn't often work out for me. So I tend to trade one. Like today, I took 3 trades today. All of them
Mm-hmm.
were, on SPY basically,
Yeah.
as we were trying to break out. But it's a choppy day, so I bought the bottom. I sold the top a couple of times on the range. Took my R, a few R
Mm-hmm.
today, and called it a done. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it was very intentful. Each position picked so that I could take advantage of the chop. But you start throwing too many trades out there. As soon as I got my one big trade that got me over goal, I said I'm done for the day, and I locked my montage and
Easy,
called it.
easy journaling for
You
today.
know,
There you go.
easy journaling,
Yeah.
right? One
Yeah.
ticker, a few entries on it, hit goal. So
Yeah.
it's going to take me. If I was going to journal this today, it would have taken me about 30 seconds. But
Mm-hmm.
if you can do that, especially if you're rocking a part-time job and stuff like that as well, why not? You know what I mean? Just do a couple of intentional trades. You can really
Yeah.
look at, did this work? You don't got to hit every ticker today. You don't got to hit every opportunity today. If
Absolutely,
anything, get
guys.
some
Yeah.
good practice doing the opposite. This morning, Andrew was, momentum. One of the hardest things to trade the open with Andrew is Andrew's a momentum trader and
Mm-hmm.
I'm not. Right. So
Yeah.
everyone
Yeah.
that was there in the morning in the chat room got to witness what it looks like to have one person make a bunch of money on a call I made short on Tesla.
Yeah. Great
Just
call,
saying,
man. Yeah.
oh, yeah, yeah. So Andrew from Dubai I'm pretty sure he was on AOL 56K dial-up speed from Dubai. I could even hear the in the
Every time he
background.
sent his order, he was probably hurting the internet connection out there.
Yeah, there were wires going across the Atlantic that were sizzling with his orders, bubbles coming off the top. But I call that, and he's short, and he is Tesla just it waterfalled. I mean, he
Yeah.
got into it,
Yeah.
and I mean, it did what we thought it was going to do. It broke support. It went through support 4, and then the thing just started waterfalling. I think it went all the way down to support 6 or something. It was a great sell off. He nailed it, right? And I'm just sitting there going, everything I was looking to play was still in the middle. It hadn't even
Mm-hmm.
gotten to an edge
Yeah.
yet. So
Yeah.
so everyone got to see what it looks like to have, a momentum trader crushing it, making a lot of money, while the range trader sitting there going.
Waiting for your setup, which is perfectly
For those of
fine.
you who are
Yeah.
only on audio only, that was a picture of me sitting there doing nothing, looking quite
Not
puzzled.
moving. Exactly. Exactly. Friends, we are midpoint on this great conversation and really hope you're finding value that you can apply to your trading. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast to be notified when we release our weekly episodes. We appreciate your feedback and suggestions for future conversations. So remember, you can always reach us via email at podcast@bearbulltraders.com. Now let's get back to our trading journal discussion. But yeah, guys, it's so important that that you're mindful of how many trades you're taking, because you are going to have to track this, right? And one rule that I put on very early on when I was first starting out is I had a set of rules, right? And one of the biggest rules on there was my journal has to be done the same day for a couple of reasons, right? One being Dash Trader Pro, at midnight, the triangles, they disappear. So it's important for me to get a screenshot of my actual entries, right? The way they work. Can I go look at some reports with my broker and see them? Yes, but it's not the same as that screenshot. Very important. And that was just going to be more extra work that I did not want to do. And when you do it the same day, you actually get a feel for how you feel as far as your mindset as a trader, right? So that's important as well to do that. And the other thing is to prevent me from skipping it, right? Because if I skip today and I say I'm going to do it tomorrow, and now tomorrow I got more trades, now I got to remember how I felt yesterday and what trades I took yesterday. It's just a bad situation, right? So one of my rules is if I don't journal the same day, I don't get to trade the next day. And I really want to trade the next day. So guess what? I was journaling every day, right? As soon as I was able to get around to it. So that's very important. And as far as tracking, one of the things I did, right? We tracked the strategy. And one of the things I do too, I also track 2 big points, which is kind of what I do now. I don't track as much information as I used to. Meaning how I woke up that morning. Did I get enough sleep? Did I get enough rest? Do I feel, how do I feel mentally? Do I feel anxious? Do I feel calm, cool, collected? I tracked all these things before I started trading to get a feel of what my mindset was like at the beginning of the trading day, right? Very important for new traders to do that. I know it's a lot of work, but you need to understand how your trading mindset is before you start trading, and then track it after you're done trading as well, right? So I have 2 sets of that. But what I do now, my most important notes on my journal now is, I want to track what I did well. So I call them my well done notes, right? What I did well. And then I track, what needs improvement. So what I did well, I just want to continue to do constantly. I want to, just kind of reaffirm that, hey, you did this well, continue to do that. What I need to improve on, I got to improve on. So At the end of every week, I'll review if I don't have time to review everything, because you know how time is, store. You know, we're busy with
Hmm.
personal life, kids, family. Where, you know, if you're running a business, whatever you got going on, part-time jobs, it's a lot of stuff happening. The one thing I want to do is I want to just review those 2 notes on every trade. Well done, and what needs improvement. And I will, if I see that, okay, I keep doing the same mistake, I keep going past my stop. I did that 3 times. I had 3 violations. Then I know next week that's the priority. You know, stop doing this right here because you did it a couple of times this week. So you want to take what you had here and take it into next week and improve that to make it better, right? Because again, you have a review process as well. So if you don't have that review process, then you're tracking
Hmm.
everything, but you're not really improving on, you know, what's next for the following week, for the following month.
So for me too, like here's for me, here's why tracking is important, right?
Yeah.
As well on top of this. So we had in San Diego, we had a lovely presentations done. One of them was talking on a similar topic to this, but basically, as you're evaluating, as you're journaling, what you're basically doing is you're building a rapport with the most important person in your trading career, and that's you, right? In order for you to be successful, you have to believe that what is happening is capable of happening again. And there's really only one. I'm not going to prove that to you by showing you what I can do. Carlos isn't going to prove that. Andrew isn't going to prove that. Mike Bellafiore at SMB is not going to prove that, right? Like nobody's going to prove to you, right, what you can do in the trading world but you, right? So,
Yeah.
and that
Yeah.
is what the journaling allows you to do, because if you're trading, you need to understand that one of the inherent flaws that a lot of traders have, and this is the psychologist that was presenting there, her name just blanked on me, Carlos. Yeah, was it
Was it
Jill
Kim? Was it
or
Kim?
Kim, or was it Kim? I think it was Kim.
Yeah.
So she presented, and it was an incredibly inspiring presentation. And then actually, it was when we had when we were having the sit down later, when we were up on the main forum, and she went through and presented. And someone asked a similar thing, and I took this from it, which is when you're trading and when you're doing this, if you don't do what you're supposed to do, you're basically breaking a promise to yourself, right? So whenever you're trading, the reason why it's so important to follow your rules is because if you can't trust yourself to be a good trader, if you can't trust yourself to do the things you say you're going to do or how you're going to do them in the market, then how on earth are you supposed to trust a system or anything else that's out there? You can't even trust your star player yet, right? So one of my favorite comedians is Cat Williams. He always talks about your star player, right? So you're not even trusting your star player yet to do what you say you're going to do. Yet now you're supposed to expect some other person's system to work for you, right? So
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
got to start there with your journaling. Execution is most important, because even in failure, at least you've proven to yourself, that you're going to do what you said you were going to do. And that is a powerful tool in stock trading, and ultimately will be the most powerful. You will cycle through many of the what I need to improve. Every single day, you will always have that card, right? There will
Yeah.
always been, you
Yeah.
could have held a little bit longer. Maybe you could have cut a little earlier. Maybe you could have done this or that. Those will always exist. But if you can execute, right, and you can stay in
Mm-hmm.
tune with yourself and keep yourself doing that, right, then you will be amazed at how calm and collected you are, because inevitably, when you start to get upset like that, it's because you're not trusting yourself, right? You're
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
getting upset. You're starting to get that because you don't trust your read. You don't trust your ability to, if I get in now, am I really going to get out when I'm supposed to? When I get in, I don't get worried, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
I know I'm
Yeah.
going to get out when I'm supposed to, because I've been doing that for years, right? I always get out when I'm supposed to get out. How do you know that? Because I always get out when I'm supposed to get out. It's not even a question,
Yeah.
right? It's gonna
Yeah.
happen, right? I have hard stops that I use that make it happen, even if I decide to be silly. But I mean,
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
without them, it's still gonna happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and one of the biggest things, guys, you're going to take from your journal when you do this review process is you're going to learn a lot about yourself. That's one thing. You're going to learn a lot about yourself and the way you are and the way you react to things. But one of the biggest things is you're going to realize that the issues that you're having in trading are not going to be like 10. It's not like 10, 20, or 15. No, it's two, three, or four, at best four. but it's really like one or two, maybe three things that you are constantly doing over and over again. And as crazy as it sounds, you have to find a way to break out of doing those three things, right? So it's
Mm-hmm.
not in this journal when you realize that, yeah, you might once in a while do something off the wall that you never done before, but it's not a habit. You don't keep doing it, right? It happened once, no problem. But there's three things that are going to just constantly keep going over and over again where you got to realize, okay, I got to put my focus here. I got to stop averaging down. I got to stop holding through stops. I got to stop
Mm-hmm.
chasing, right? These are my top three issues. Guess what? Going into next week, these are the things I have to focus on that I cannot do because my journal is telling me, hey, man, you keep doing this thing right here. Stop doing this, right? You're losing money every time you do this. And then you go into the week improving those violations. That's what I like to call them. And then you do it for the month. You have a month review, right? So, okay, let's review February. What did I do? What were my top three violations? And you're going to find that it's the same thing over and over again. So, understanding what your journal is telling you and being able to correct that, that is gold. And I know that's difficult to do because many people still have this information. They still do the problems. But if you're able to get above that hump, man,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to be golden when it comes to improving as a trader. Drastic improvements you're going to see.
Well, for sure. And a lot of people, ask about, my trading journey and how did I get to, profitability quicker than
Yeah.
maybe others. And I tell them, I don't know if it's because I grew up a little bit country, but I am not
Mhm.
a touch the electric fence twice kind of guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I'm a touch the stove one kind of guy. You don't,
Hmm.
if I encounter something, I'm very, very quick to pivot and
Yeah.
go to
Yeah.
whatever the next direction is. And so, being nimble as a stock trader is super important. If your
Absolutely.
journal is telling you something that's not working, don't beat your head against the wall for
Hmm.
2 months or 3 months trying to prove your journal wrong.
Right.
Right? Like
Right.
your
Yeah.
journal's right. So one thing that I was very good with me is as I encountered new information, I was very quick to just say to act
Yeah.
on it
Yeah.
and never try and get stuck any one place trying any one thing that wasn't productive any longer. 10 trades, 20 trades. Do you see an improvement? No.
Hmm.
All right. I mean, most concepts, if you implement them, there should be a relatively immediate improvement if it's a good
Correct.
concept.
Correct.
So if you implement a concept and you see an immediately you immediately draw the other direction, this might not mean you don't understand the concept and you need to keep working hard to figure out the concept. It actually just might mean the concept isn't a good concept for you,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
So
Exactly.
read your
Yeah.
journal. As long as if your executions are right where they need to be, solid execution straight down the line, you're doing what you're supposed to do, yet your system's underperforming. Don't argue with that, right? It's
Yeah.
like yelling
Yeah.
into the wind, man. Make a change. You got to, because you're doing a great job. And as
Hmm.
someone who can execute consistently, you should be making money. If
Right.
you can
Right.
execute consistently, we've got a strategy out there. We will find you a strategy to make you money, but that it's the hardest part is executing consistently. So you show me a trader that can do the same thing over and over again, perfectly. I mean, we'll probably get you into the money at some point in the near
Hmm.
future.
Yeah. Yeah.
But don't keep yourself out of the money longer than you need to because you're just stubbornly trying to prove some idea you have right when you're tracking, especially is going.
Yeah, yeah, no, 100%, guys. Again, that's why journaling is just so critical to your process, and you got to trust the process, right? Your journal is going to tell you, "Hey, man, here's what you got to improve on." You have to really trust the process. Don't go changing strategies. Don't go doing other things when your journal is telling you you're not stopping out. Like it's right on the written in paper. You are not stopping out of your trades, and
Hmm.
this is why you are losing more than what you should be losing for when you are trading, right? You should be losing a certain amount, and the winner should be covering that. But if you're obviously not stopping out, that's going to be a big problem. Your journal is going to tell you that. Few things
Hmm.
to be cautious as we get ready to wrap it up here is be cautious to get wrapped up in the numbers, right? When it comes to journaling, there's two journaling
Hmm.
methods. The one me and Thor are talking about right now is journaling and capturing the actual execution, the strategy, videos of the trades to go back and review. Okay, what actually did happen? Did I do what I thought I did, or did I miss something in the technicals here that I should have done differently, right? Many people want to just journal. Hey, here's my P&L for today. Here's how much I made. Here's how much I lost. Here's my winning percentage. That's good data, but starting out, you
I
need
guess
yeah, but yeah, that's
it's
good
not
data.
great data.
It's not great data, and it's not going to help you data, right? That is not going to help you become a better trader. It's great to have, no problem, But as far as new traders, if you have to pick between the two, I'm picking the one that's going to show me, okay, exactly what took place, the details of the trade. Did I execute properly? Did I follow my rules? Did I have any violations? What I did well, continue to do that. What I did wrong, stop doing that, right? It's really that simple. But this is where discipline comes into place, because as far as a simplicity is very simple, but the discipline is the one that's actually going to make you execute these things and say, okay, I'm not going to keep doing what I've been doing, which is stopping out, averaging down, all these other things that are preventing me from becoming a profitable trader, right?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. No, man, I think that's really great. Just remember, people, just kind of wrapping the whole thing. Just remember, when it comes down to it, your main goal is execution, staying true
Yeah.
to yourself and how you're going to push out there. All of the tracking stuff will vary from individual to individual. You'll have statistics and things that become very important to you,
Hmm.
but inevitably, none of it makes any sense if you can't just do it. Right.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so I hope everyone has a great time. Thanks for hanging out with us. Episode 10 already.
Yes.
And we
Yes.
really, really appreciate the interactions we're getting and the fans that we're building up. We really appreciate all of y'all. So we'll look forward for more content coming out. We're going to try and continue our streak here. We're going to try and hit an episode every week this year. So I hope you guys are ready for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Take care, guys. See you soon.